cycle.
Now, what about the doubtful seats, Dean? Have we got a graphic at this stage showing up? No, we don't have that? Well, look...
I can give you a list of what I think are the doubtful electorates, and that's 3 of the independent electorates. There's Mount Gambier, which may go from independent to Liberal. We have Mitchell, and that's the seat of Chris Hanna. Fisher, Bob Such's seat. Chafee, we've talked about Chafee tonight already, the Nationals. And Adelaide is classified as doubtful because it could move to the Liberal Party on the swings we've seen so far.
OK, now before we do a run of seats on the independents in particular, have you got any fresh figures?
Well, my staff have rang me and told me that I'm coming back in Port Adelaide. It's gone from 17 to 14.8. But
I can hear the whole of South Australia giving an enormous.
I shouldn't be flippant about that. But look, 37% of the vote counted now in the seat of Newland. This is young Tom Kenyon.
Yep.
A 0.7% swing to the Liberal Party. So that is an extraordinary result, particularly as Rob has mentioned, the swings that are occurring either side of that seat, which are double-digit. And again, in the seat of Light, again, not yet ready to call it, but it would appear that it's likely to stay with Labor. So, yeah, it's... I still think it's far too early to call a Labor win, Dean, as much as I'd like to clutch onto the 24 seats and say
no,
it's too early for that yet.
Far too early.
I've still got a lot of nervous energy flowing around my body.
Rob Lucas?
Well, I mean, it is extraordinary, the sort of results that we're seeing tonight, the disparity between seats which appear to be like Light, for example, and the other big swings that we're seeing in the 10% plus seats across the state. And this is the challenge for the Liberal Party, is to translate what may well be a 52-48 result or a 53-47 result across the state into enough seats to win government. Stewart is a marginal Liberal seat in the country, a very popular local member, retiring, Graham Gunn. We've seen at this stage around about a 9% swing to us. So those sorts of seats we're obviously holding on to. The critical issue is whether we're going to be able to pick possibly seats that weren't expected in the 10%-ish range to counterbalance possibly seats less than 5% that perhaps Labor might hold on to on those sorts of figures in Light.
Yeah. Well, the pattern is all over the place at the moment. The one thing I would say in terms of that computer prediction of ours, and if you can see the strip across the bottom, it's saying ALP 25 seats. Now, if that's so, with 20% of the vote counted, that would mean that Labor would still be able to govern in its own right. Although I would treat those figures with caution at this stage, what I would say in defence of the ABC computers is that they've got a pretty good record over the years in their predictions, even at this early stage and even in a situation like this. So take it cautiously but seriously. We might now take a run through some of these independent seats, which of course are a part of the critical outcome for tonight. Can we start with the seat of Mitchell in the inner southern suburbs of Adelaide? Chris Hanna is the member. He's an independent. He's been there since 97, started as Labor. He's now an independent. He holds this on a very slender margin of 0.5 or 0.6%. We've still only, according to my computer, we've still only got a small amount of the vote counted in Mitchell.
Well, it's according to me, it's 1.3%, but if we use that 6.4% on the graphic, Chris Hanna is running behind the Liberal candidate. Now, that is crucial for what happens in this seat. If Chris Hanna runs third, he will be excluded and his preferences will then decide who wins, and that will almost certainly be the Labor Party. But what we have here is currently, with only 6.4% counted, there's been a swing to the Liberal Party after preferences, therefore independent retaining it, but I want a lot more votes before I make a final decision on this one.
OK, now the seat of Mount Gambier, this used to be Rory McEwen's seat. He was an independent. This is one where the Liberals have made a very strong push to get the seat back. The rural southwest, we've got 14.6% of the vote counted.
It's another three-way tie, if you like. We have Steve Perryman, the Liberal Party candidate, but Don Pegler, who's standing as an independent. Now, Mr Pegler is the mayor of the Grant Council, the local Grant Council, and the Labor Party's got a respectable 12.5%, and for Mount Gambier, that is respectable. If we look at the situation, Mr Pegler is in fact in front. There's been a 7.3% swing there. Now, it might be interesting, but perhaps Mount Gambier is going to replace an independent with an independent, but I want another 10% of the votes yet.
OK, the seat of Fisher, this is held by Bob Such as an independent. This is in the southern suburbs of Adelaide. Now, he's held this on a very large margin in the past. We've got 2.6% of the vote counted here.
Nobody in their right mind would discount the possibility of Bob Such winning again. Christopher Moriarty, who's an ex-Liberal Party president, is leading at the moment. But Bob Such has weathered intense competition from both Labor and Liberal in the past. And I would think that even with 2.6% counted, I'd be relatively confident to say he'll pick that up significantly as they go on. There's Aberfoyle Park booths to come in, Ranella East, Clarendon, and maybe I think Bob Such will pick up votes in those booths.
OK, now the seat of Frome, this takes in Port Pirie and Clare Valley, and we're saying this is a seat that's changed hands. This was held by Jeff Brock. He only picked it up in a by-election early last year. Margin of 1.7%. Now we've got 21.7% of the vote counted. What does it tell us, Dean?
Well, it tells us that Mr Brock is in severe trouble. The Liberal Party is leading quite easily. Jeff Rodey for the Labor Party will decide the seat ultimately, probably, on preferences. But the point is that Frome is a mixed seat. It's the city of Port Pirie and a very large rural hinterland. At the moment, there's a swing to the Independent of 16.9%. The Liberal Party will be fighting hard in those rural booths, which is still to appear. So Jeff Brock is leading, but I'm not sure that he would be feeling very comfortable about it at the moment.
Jeff Brock joins us now from Port Pirie. Jeff, how are you feeling? Are you feeling comfortable or uncomfortable?
Very uncomfortable at the moment, obviously with same as the other candidates. It's very early at this stage, and as Dean Jantz said, there's a lot of votes still to come in and preferences, so it's a very diversified electorate.
Now, you've always had a very strong vote in Port Pirie. How are you going in the booths further out?
Before I came in, there was I'd only had one result from one booth. It was 2/3 of the vote counted, and I had about 51% of the vote in that one there out of 1,015. And so that's the early one at this particular point. So, look, it's early days, and I think it's about 23% of the total vote will be pre-vote or absentee votes.
Now, you've put in a lot of effort, haven't you, in trying to get out to those areas in the year since you've held the seat?
Certainly have. I've gone out with done just over 70,000 kilometres to get a better feel for the electorate. I've also set up what I consider mini offices out in 8 different locations in the electorate. I call them listening posts, and I go out there once every 5 or 6 weeks, advertise it and listen to the people. They come in and see me out in those rural areas.
Now, obviously, water security is a big issue up your way. Do you see that you have a great point of difference to the Liberal Party on that issue?
I have in agreement with the Liberal Party on some things. I'm working very closely for a desalination opportunity, but not putting the brine back into the ocean, but to use the brine for other products in the way of soda ash and or biofuels. But certainly water is very, very important here because we're 100% reliant on the River Murray, and part of the electorate in actual fact doesn't have any River Murray water at all, so using groundwater.
And how's the electorate taking to Isabel Redmond?
Yeah, she's come across quite well. Depends where you're going, of course, but certainly Isabel has made a lot of inroads for the Liberal Party going forward. She's a very, very intelligent person and has come across excellent for the community. And I would say that she's probably got about a 10 or 15% increase in her popularity in the electorate of Frome.
Now, one of the big things that has happened up your way in Clare, which was added to the electorate, was the Tour Down Under.
That's
right.
And
now you'd be hoping, as a bit of an organiser of that event, that you'd be picking up a few votes from that?
Oh, look, I only got 6% of the total vote in Clare at the by-election. I never had the opportunity of going down there. I've spent a fair bit of time in Clare, and I would certainly hope that I would get a far bigger percentage than the 6%. But yes, I was strongly an advocate of the Tour Down Under going to Clare, and I've been a strong advocate of it starting in Clare next time too.
Jeff Brock, thanks for joining us. Obviously, it's been called wrong before in the by-election by the Liberals, so we won't be writing you off just yet.
No, I'm not writing myself off at this stage.
Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.